singing the opening song, We Come Together. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, God loves me and I love you. Feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together, we come together in the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Just feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. Come together, we come together in the name of love. We come together, we come together, we come together in the name of love. From every walk of life, every creed and we unite. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, namaste, I bow to you. Just feel the love and the unity. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together, we come together. In the name of love.
Yes, Miss Teresa James, everyone. How about that, Margie?
Yeah.
Does it feel like home now? Yeah. So, welcome to all of you joining us online. If you don't know, my name is Reverend Michael McMorrow. I'm the senior minister here at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California, a place where we welcome all who practice their beliefs in faith and love. We're delighted to have with us as our guest musician, the wonderful Teresa James. Yes. And did you bring any CDs today or anything like that? Okay, so you can take Teresa home with you, or if you're at home, you can download on her website, teresajames.com.
Or iTunes or anywhere you want.
All right, so she's all over the place. So you're going to want to get some of her music, you'll see. And we're also joined by the lovely Reverend Nicole Robbins, our presider today. And we're joined by all of you. So let's all take a deep, conscious breath together and release as we come together for our call to service, which we call Lighting the Flames of Faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call Spirit. That fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Reverend Nicole lights the first candle, it's for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. The fourth candle we light for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, for the space we hold for them here at our sanctuary, within our online community, and within our own hearts. And as Reverend Nicole lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love.
There is one flame burns in our heart. There is one light that shines through our love. We light this flame with faith. We find this light within our own soul. There is one flame, one light within.
It's with this grateful heart that I recognize this love, this one power, this one flame, this life that I choose to call God. And I know right here, right now, no matter where we are, when we're watching, we are all connected to this source. And I declare and know that this service is perfect in the mind of God. The speakers are open at the top, channeling wisdom and sharing their knowledge. And I know that those online and here in person are just relishing in this wonderful service. Our musician sings from her heart, and we are just so blessed to be here today. And I say thank you, thank you, thank you for this opportunity to share. And I just release my word to the law that always says yes. And together we affirm this by saying, so it is. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. It's a beautiful Sunday here in Los Angeles, and I want to share about the 4 kingdoms of consciousness. The other day, I walked into a room where someone was having a discussion about how everything was wrong and how someone wronged her, and this person said something to her, and the whole day was ruined because of this one comment. And I didn't want to add fuel to the fire, so I said a nice little prayer, and I walked through the room, and I went out. And I was just thinking about how important it is to realize that We are connected to this source. And Michael Beckwith talks about there's these 4 kingdoms of consciousness. The first one is to me consciousness. This is when, oh my gosh, someone did this to me, they cut me off, I didn't get this and turned in time, or there's outside conditions that are causing me upset, and it's beyond my control. There's nothing I can do about it. This person did something to me, and I'm upset about it. I'm angry, and I have a right to be angry about it. And then when we move to the next level of consciousness is by me. This is when I start realizing that, I might have a little more control over this situation, and it's not really about me. This is where the law of attraction starts coming in, and I can really start creating my awareness. And I can be really, when things happen, I can realize they're not necessarily about me. The third level is through me. This is where all of a sudden I start letting go and just surrendering to the situation. And I know that by just surrendering, doors all of a sudden open. I kind of meet deadlines. I was at the airport the other day in Chicago, and I was standing in line, and I happened to fly that weekend that Southwest went on strike. Or not on strike, where they were canceling all their planes, and I was flying Southwest. And as I was standing in line, this long switchback line, I'm like, time is elastic, I will make my plane. And I just kind of surrendered to it. So instead of being in this line upset and angry about all these people in front of me and all the canceled flights, I just kind of surrendered. Now, I did make my flight, but I was running through the airport to get there. So in our teachings, we talk about treating and moving our feet. I'm going to pray, but then I'm going to run for the gate. It's not like I'm going to be like, I'll make my flight and I'll just casually walk through the gate. No, I looked up at the board to find out what gate I was on, and I'm like, M2, that's right here. No, M2 was the first gate at the end of the terminal. So I was kind of booking it, and when I got there to the gate, and I'm like, I made it. He's like, welcome to the Chicago O'Hare Airport. And I was the second to last person on the plane, but I made my flight and I made my connections. But I knew I was going to do it because I just surrendered to the reality. Okay, and I also checked my phone. I saw there was a later flight. But it just really helped me get there. And then the final one is as me. This is when I really know that I'm one with the universe, that my experiences, I am the universe, and my experiences are really happening. And I had a friend the other day say, you're always so positive. I wish I was as positive as you are. And I was laughing. I'm like, well, you should have been next to me in bed the other morning when my alarm went off at 6 a.m. And I didn't really want to get up, and I was mumbling a few things. But then when I was sitting there, I'm like, you know what? Stop, Nikki. If you're going to set your intention for the day, this mumble and grumble, your day is not going to be that great. So why don't you sit here? Let's reframe this mumbling, this grumbling, and take a deep breath and set your intention for the day to have a good day. So when I walk to work and I get there, I'm going to have a good day. Even though I was a little mumbly and grumbly, I like to think I hang out in 3 and 4 level of consciousness, but every now and then I know I slip back. But that's when I'm setting my intentions, when I really take a deep breath and I stop. What do I want today to look like? What kind of day am I going to set for myself? What do I want my week to look like? What do I want my year to look like? And this is my cute little segue into, I'm going to start a class in November about living successfully in 2022, setting our intentions for next year. So let's set our intentions. Please join me on my Sunday afternoon class from 3 to 5, where we're going to work on setting ourselves up for success in 2022. So hopefully, knowing we're all going to reside in level 3 and 4 consciousness that Michael Bernard Beckwith came up with. So I know for each and every one of you that we are all residing in this consciousness, knowing that our doors unfold, even if it looks like it's not happening, even if it seems out of reach, knowing that our intentions are going to meet us at our point of action, and that the universe will just kindly direct us in the right and positive way to just unfold this day, this life, this moment, exactly how we need it to unfold. So for each and every one of you, I know your intentions are set. Positive words, feelings, qualities of emotions, that we're setting ourselves up for a beautiful 2022 and finishing 2021 with a strong, positive outlook. So thank you for letting me share.
Watch the news, read the paper. Seems like this whole world's gone bad. Listen to the lies and gossip. It's just enough to drive you mad. Little things can change the world. A smile can go a long, long way. We just got to seize the moment and change today. And there ain't no difference in each other. One light shines on every color. We're just flesh and blood, living in a spirit world. Watching all the boys and girls, we can learn a lot from children. It's a better world they're building day by day. I have heard the longest journey begins with just a single stride. We can get to where we're going side by side. And there ain't no difference in each other. One light shines on every color. We're just flesh and blood, living in a spirit world. And we'll never get across that river unless we learn to live together. So let's all join hands and try living in the spirit world. You know there ain't no difference in each other. One light shines on every color. We're just flesh and blood, yeah. Just living in the spirit world. Living in the spirit. Spirit, I'm living in the spirit world.
Thank you, Teresa. That was beautiful, Teresa. Thank you so much for joining us. I think we're all friends here in the sanctuary, so why don't we just wave hello to each other and welcome. Is there anyone new? I don't think there's anyone new. And everyone online, welcome all the new people online. So our announcements for October 17th, if you would like prayer support, you can find a practitioner online. Our Zoom today, our fellowship Zoom is at 11:45, facilitated by our online practitioner, Sherry Gideons. And Kathy Lyons, Reverend Kathy Lyons, will have her animal kinship online at 1 o'clock today. Coming up is our Granada Hills Street Fair on October 23rd. Come and check out our booth. It's from 10 to 5 on that day. Please come and support us. Our bereavement support group online will be Sunday, October 24th at 1 p.m. Reverend Mike, is your class closed, the Advanced Metaphysics? I believe so. Then I have my class, as I mentioned, Living Intentionally in 2022. That will start November 7th. That will be from 3 to 5 online. So I hope those of you just email me, and I believe my email will be up on the slides for you to join us, or just come talk to me after service if you'd like to join us. So if you would please stand, and we'll do our declarations of faith. We believe in one universal spirit, manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe that the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes his presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul forever expanding. We believe in the goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the giveness of life to all.
All right, please, y'all help me out. Let's all sing together on the congregational song, Heaven's Inside of Me. Heaven's inside of me, heaven's inside of me, with spirit and nature, within and without. Now that I know that God's right here, right now, heaven's inside of me, heaven's inside of me, heaven's inside of you, with spirit and nature, within and without. Now that I know that God's right here, right now, heaven's inside of you, heaven's inside of us, heaven's inside of us, with spirit and nature, within and without. Now that I know that God's right here, right now, heaven's inside of us, heaven's inside of us, heaven's inside of us, with spirit and nature, within and without. Now that I know that God's right here, right now, heaven's inside of us.
Very nice. Yeah, let's give Teresa some love there. Nicely done, huh? So it's not easy to come into another community and pick up their order of service and do all that. You're doing nicely today. Yeah, good job. So thank you. And we do have a couple of ministers that maybe you're not used to. I just want to give Reverend Susie Andrews another shout out one more time. So Reverend Susie. And then we also have visiting us from a longtime church, actually, in the Valley community, the religious science community out of Woodland Hills. So we have Reverend Debbie joining us from there. So good morning. Nice to have you with us. She's also an author, by the way. So that's no small thing. And her book's a lot longer than mine, so I stand in awe. All right, and so I also wanted to say, because I didn't pick it up earlier today, congratulations to the Dodgers for making it to the playoffs. Yeah, go Big Blue. They lost a close one last night in Atlanta. And I also want to thank the Giants for making it an interesting season this year. The hated Giants. Well, unless you're from San Francisco, I suppose. But anyway, it's a great rivalry, and it's been exciting. And they did lose a close one last night, but more will be revealed. So, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes. Yeah. Now, for weeks we've been exploring this idea of going further together. Today's talk title, which is kind of a good one, I would say, given the state of things. We is greater than me, so that's a greater than sign. And if you're like me in algebra, I had to remember greater than, because there's an R and right, and maybe you weren't that slow, but that's what I had to do. We greater than me, going further together. So we're going to be exploring that theme and this talk title today. And for this week's explorations, we're going to read and share the musings of Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, who's also a PhD, has a focus ministry. And she is sharing with us the wisdom of the Zulu with this concept of Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is a part of Zulu life philosophy, meaning I am because we are. I am because we are. And she goes on to write, in community we embody a gestalt of consciousness, a whole that is greater than the mere sum of its parts, and each individual is uplifted because of the support of the group. Each individual is uplifted because of support of the group, hopefully. Certainly in spiritual community, this is the goal. Believe it or not, that's the goal of this spiritual community, is that we all have an uplifting of experience while we're here, and an uplifting of experience of life when we're outside the rooms also. Now, we have certainly lived this notion of we is greater than me as we have lived through these last 19 months now, working through this pandemic experience, both personally and collectively, right? So as individuals, and then with people that we share our life with in our homes, certainly in our communities, and then also both regional, national, and even globally. We've been experiencing this pandemic together. You'd think that we would have more cohesion and unity around that, but it's just humans doing what humans do. And but we are still having this experience, and we are having it together. And so we have certainly lived with this notion of we is greater than me, and we've also lived with the people who have pushed back against the idea in all the various little wrinkles of that. So it reminds me of the admonition. So I'm an old Star Trek fan. There weren't very many of them in the first service, I might add. But it reminds me of the admonition that Spock passed on to Kirk while dying after this heroic act where he saved the Enterprise and everyone on it by exposing himself to deadly radiation, where he said, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Or the one. My Oscar, thank you. You love me, you really love me. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Now, is this always so? Well, it depends on which side of that equation you happen to be on, right? So it didn't work out very well for Spock, but he did get to go on Genesis and was reborn, and that's a whole nother episode. So generally speaking, though, we can draw some insight from these considerations, right? We is greater than me. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. So we can get some insight from these considerations that can inform the ethics that guide our spiritual practice. Or hopefully, maybe even more importantly, that our spiritual practices guide our ethical view of life, right? The core principles that we bring to life. Now, this can represent a bit of a conundrum if one has no spiritual practice, or at least has no spiritual code from which to navigate the world. And I think in many ways, it's actually much easier just to embrace a code, right? So for instance, say the 10 Commandments. Now, of course, frankly, I had a lot of fun breaking most of these, but my life got to be much better when I embraced living in this way, right? So to say that the 10 Commandments are really the basis of a Judeo-Christian ethic, of which most of the Western part of the planet is kind of based on this rule of law, which is an extension of the rule of the Code of Hammurabi, which is back from the Babylonians, which goes back even further, right? So the belief is that it was actually the influence during the Babylonian exile, which is where the 10 Commandment story emerged. But that's what the archaeologists say. I'm not sure what the Jewish folks say. So now we have a spiritual code. But the question that I pose then is, so does that mean that we are having an experience of the divine? Or are we just learning how to stay in our own lane? Right? Or are we learning how to stay out of the hot seat for eternity by following these rules? Is there a notion of, we are because I am, or I am because we are? Is there a notion of that in here? So I'll let you ponder that one. Then from the Eastern philosophy, they have a code also, the 8 precepts of Buddhism, which turns out that there's 5 precepts or there's 10 precepts. So apparently, as in Christianity, there are varying, shifting things that go on depending on denomination that folks focus on. But I found this here because it fit nicely in the PowerPoint. So, the 8 precepts, and this is from the Buddhist Association of Canada. So this is the Canadian version, I guess. All right, to abstain from destroying living beings, including plants, or, eating vegetarian, I should say. Abstain from taking things not given. Don't steal. Abstain from sensual misconduct. I'm not going to touch on that one. Abstain from false speech. Don't lie. Abstain from taking anything that causes intoxication, including gummy bears. Abstain from eating at improper times, right? So when you're observing a holy day, if you're a lay Buddhist, right? So you wouldn't eat after noon, right? And if you're a monk, you don't eat after noon. Abstain from eating at improper times, and then abstain from dancing, music shows, and beautifying with cosmetics. So this must be the Baptist Buddhists, I'm thinking. Abstain from use of, I just remembered I'm on live stream. I shouldn't have said that. Abstain from use of high and large seats and beds. Now this is about not letting yourself get too comfortable, right? So it's actually very interesting, the thought behind it and what went into this, and that these precepts, of course, come out of Hinduism. Hinduism is a much older religion than Judaism and Christianity, right? But so the question then also comes from here. So where is I am because we are, or we are because I am? Is that present in here? Now, the East, it's a little bit different, right? So the 10 Commandments came from on high, and it was almost kind of a do these or else kind of proposition, right? So they came down from up the mountain, down, and what were the ancient Hebrews doing at the time? They were worshiping the golden calf, remember? Now, this is a little different wrinkle from the Buddhist perspective, because we are observing these practices. We are abstaining from things in the life so that one can be released from the bondage of suffering. The bondage of suffering. Little different notion in Eastern philosophy. So, where is I am because we are? Where's that? Well, I think the answer lies in observing quite simply that we live our life with other people. That's the rub. We live our life with other people. The question really is, are we going to share our life with others, or are we going to dominate them into submission? So we got to remember that these codes that came out, this is like 3,000 years ago, when human life was very cheap, right? It was nothing to run somebody through if you disagreed with them. So, if we're going to share our life with others, or are we going to dominate them? And can we prosper in the world by sharing rather than dominating? You know, what happens if I don't get mine? How am I going to act? Or what if we are afraid that none of this is true? What if we're afraid that we're going to lose what we have? Or what they're going to get that they don't deserve? I mean, there's all kinds of places we can go with this, yeah? We are so afraid of all the stuff that we don't know. We're afraid of the unknown. Now, the answer is, of course, yes, that we can agree on these basic ground rules. In fact, we kind of have to, right? But at the same time, there is a spiritual component behind all of this thinking that is really key to our survival as a culture, as a community, and certainly even as a species. And that is, behind all of this is an implicit understanding that love is the thing that's holding it all together. That it's love that's holding it together. Because if you think about it, the only way we can observe any of this stuff from a place of embracing it is to learn that love is the thing that is keeping us on track. It is love that sustains us together. Right? And that we have to do love. You know, we can certainly practice love in a solitary way. Right? Speak to any monk or nun of whatever tradition. They practice love all the time. As lay people, we can do that as well, as a single person, but we're still operating out in the world. We're not, and I don't want to say monks are hiding behind the monastery walls, but certainly they are attempting to shut out the ways of the world, right? And as householders, we don't live that way. We choose not to live that way. But even in this understanding, we know that it is love that is binding us together. And Holmes says that one of the first things to do, if we want to raise the vibration of our life, if we want to uplift the experience of our life and the life of others, the first thing to do is to love only those people you agree with and get along with. No, he didn't say that. He said, what? Everybody. And if you have not done this, begin to do so at once. Not tomorrow, not when you get around to it, but at once. Now, this is not so easily accomplished with people who think differently than we do. However, let's face it, it's not much of a spiritual practice if we cannot commit daily to try to at least trying to love everyone until we do. And then get up the next day and do it all over again. So I found this great lesson because I think this is challenging myself. I mean, and I love a lot of people, and I really do work to find ways to connect with folks, even when I may disagree with them. But I love this quote or this lesson really that I found from a gal named Yogacara Ellen Grace O'Brien. She has a spiritual community up north, a self-realization group. And she shared this reading from a letter by the teacher Baba Haridas. It's entitled, "In Everyday Peace." And he writes, and she shared, that the future is unknown. The future is unknown. Whenever we walk towards the unknown, we carry a lamp. You may carry a lump too, but you certainly carry a lamp. The future is unknown. Whenever we walk towards the unknown, we carry a lamp. In worldly-minded people, that lamp is the ego. In worldly-minded people, that lamp is the ego. In spiritually-minded people, the lamp is the divine presence. So both are walking towards the same unknown dark space. One is afraid. The other is fearless. And he writes, keep the lamp lit. Keep the lamp lit. Walk on, step by step. And then these great words of encouragement. You cannot go astray. You can't go astray. But we'll merge in the light. The future is unknown. Whenever we walk towards the unknown, we carry a lamp. In worldly-minded people, that lamp is the ego. In spiritually-minded people, the lamp is the divine presence. Both are walking towards the same unknown dark space. One is afraid, the other is fearless. Keep the lamp lit. Keep the lamp lit. Walk on step by step. You cannot go astray, but will merge in the light. So Gary Zukav, writer of Seed of the Soul, among other things, very popular book back in the 90s, yes. When you release the wants of your personality in order to accommodate and encourage another's growth, we attune ourselves to that person's soul. Right? So each one of these guys is like raising the bar a little higher, right? Wow, now I have to attune myself to others? Now, why would I want to do that? What about they're supposed to be doing their work? Well, where's my point of control, my point of power? It's right where I am, yeah? Who's the one who's getting agitated and getting his Irish up? I have to do the work. And what am I attuning to when I attune to another's soul anyway? Right? We're attuning to the divine within that person. Because through class, in this class we've been working on, so we're in the 4th week this week, we've been working on this notion of seeing light and nothing else. And so we've been working with Joel Goldsmith. You talk about raising the bar, right? Because if we come to understand that there's only God and nothing else in consciousness, at the level of spirit, if there's God and nothing else, then it's all God. And this is particularly important to remember when we feel out of discord with anyone, but certainly with another person. That we're both here working our stuff out together, really by divine appointment, to have a greater experience of what? A greater experience of the Spirit. Now, Holmes comes from it a little different way, right? So being Westerners, Western Europe, America, our dealings are very transactional. And that often translates to our experience with the divine. Now, Holmes created this little bait and switch game that he called spiritual mind treatment. That's what I think it is. Because he knows we're transactional. We need stuff. I am one with God. Right? God is. I am one with God. Here's some stuff I need. I'm grateful. I release it. Now, if we just do that as a rote memory, we're not going to have a deeper experience of the divine. We're just playing within another code. We're just playing within another set of rules without having that deeper experience of the divine, which is really what we're longing for. That's what we're looking for. So spiritual mind treatment is not, even though we do get and demonstrate stuff and things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what we're really doing is demonstrating the infinite power and presence of the divine demonstrating itself in our life as that thing. Now, when we do that enough, the light bulb goes off and we realize, oh, it's all just God's stuff. And so Joel Goldsmith hits us with that one, boom, right away, right between the eyes. Boom, what are you talking about? Holmes is like, oh, come here, my friend. I have comfort for you. Here is a strategy to work your way through life. And then you see the full magnificence of the divine. We have an experience that's transformational. And then we find, wow, I haven't treated for stuff in a long time. I find myself just treating for the wholeness of life to express itself in my life, as my life, through my life. Right? That is the third, fourth kingdom of consciousness. We're no longer victimized. Right? We're starting to utilize. Now we're demonstrating until we are actually experiencing life as the life of the divine. And then Beckwith himself says, now you may go through those levels, all 4 levels in a day, in and out of them in an hour. It's still the human experience. So when we see our neighbor as that which is and of God, then we are loving our neighbor. Whether that neighbor appears as a friend, relative, enemy, animal, flower, stone, it's all God. So we started out talking about baseball today, and I've always loved the expression, there is no I in team. Have you heard this? There is no I in team. I know I used it myself in coaching Little League and soccer back in the day. There is no I in team, and yet the team is not successful without every individual tending to their place on the field. But great teams have one thing in common. They trust each other to tend to their part of the field. So imagine if the second baseman tried to play center field on every play, particularly if there's a man on first. It's not going to end well. But where trust prevails, love sails. Where trust prevails, love sails. So make no mistake about it. There's love demonstrating out on that field. Because it's human beings doing their thing at play. So the same must hold true about our own expression of life. It's not enough to simply follow the rules, but to do so in ways of respect, in compassion and loving kindness. If we do not merge with others in cooperation, in unity, and in happiness, we may be certain that there is something in us that still feels that has been rebuffed. So if we really want to experience the fullness of grace and healing, we got to do our own work. Because in the flow of love, as Eric Butterworth said, you will tend to see and respond to the divinity in all persons. So let's take a breath on that. And release. So we covered a lot of stuff today. So just thinking about this idea, we all have a code, a set of principles by which we live our life. Right? There's no one here under the age of 8, except maybe in temperament some days. So we know what makes our life work. And so within that, let's do as Goldsmith encourages us to do, to have an experience of the divine within that then expands beyond the boundaries and borders of whatever mental construct we have built around it. To experience the infinite power and presence of the divine as our life today, just for today. And see if we can cultivate something out of that to take into our week. And see what changes. And then come back and report next week and see how we did.
I'm gonna open up my heart to the world this morning. See if I can help a friend. I'm gonna pull back the shades of my fear this morning. And let the light of the world come in. Whether I'm up or if I'm down, I'm gonna go another round. Yeah, I'm gonna try to bring somebody happiness. I look around me if they scorn me today, yeah, they might turn me away no matter what they say. I'm just gonna try to be a friend. Yeah, I'm gonna try it once more. I'm gonna knock on every door of the world this morning to see if I can be a friend. I'm gonna give all my heart, make a new start in the world this morning. I'm just gonna see, can I help a friend?
So how'd that feel? I'd say you nailed it. That felt good, huh? Yeah, nice. Let's give her some love. Give her some love on the chat, you at home. Nicely done, Teresa James. You can find her on teresajames.com. And isn't the name of your band like the Rhythm Tramps or something like that? Is that the best name or what? Teresa James and the Rhythm Tramps, yeah. All right, so it's time for our offering. So Andrea, our board president, is going to bring up the offering basket. For those of you who are joining us here in the sanctuary, if you have come prepared to give an actual physical gift, just take your time, come up one at a time. And for those of you who are at home, there are many ways by which you can give. One of them is through the donate button on our website page. If you're watching us on the website, that'll take you to the PayPal portal. And if you're on our YouTube channel, there's a little icon in the upper left-hand corner. That'll take you to the PayPal corner. If you're on Facebook, you can just use the donate button and do what you need to do there. And also our mail-in, my thing is not working. There it goes. There's the portal. And there's your phone, in case you wondered what it looks like there. There's the YouTube channel, Facebook, and there's the address. So, however your generous donations are making their way here, just know that they are all honored, that we feel truly grateful to receive them. And we're going to give you a moment now. Teresa's going to take us through our offering song. Just take a breath together and releasing and just recognizing that this basket is a representation of the many ways by which the consciousness, the generous consciousness of the individual makes its way to support our spiritual community. A consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. So now we, representing the heart of this spiritual community, accept these gifts with deep love and respect, as we know together they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless not only this center and its mission and vision, but anyone connected to our center in any way, that we extend these glad tidings to our friends here in our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, that we know in some crazy cosmic way that the planet itself is an emanation of the infinite creative impulse of the universe expressing. And to the extent that we know this to be so, we see it demonstrating in ways great and small. This lifts our hearts. We feel a sense of power and grace that propel us into ways of spiritual living, that to lift ourselves and those around us. And that's a good thing, and we can acknowledge this together by saying, and so it is. So let's thank Teresa James one more time. Lovely job today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And also an announcement. So our longtime music director, Ken Francis, has decided to step away from here in this position at our center. He's going off to do some wonderful things. He's on a tour. That's a really big deal. I think he told me he had like 146 pages of music to memorize for a guitar, I think. Anyway, it sounded like a Herculean effort. And of course, he's going to be missed. And we just bless and thank him as he goes off on his way, and just joyously support him in having his Sundays back, and know that he's going to do some really great work around that. If you would like to send Ken a gift, you can do that. You can just send it in however you're doing that to the center, and just put in the memo that it goes to Ken, and we will make sure that he gets it. We're going to put out a card the next 2 Sundays for those of you who are coming on in line to just, you can sign the card and say thank you. All right, so with that, I'm going to invite Reverend Nicole to come up and pray us out. Thank you for being here, and I will see you next week.
Thank you. Thank you. What a lovely service. And as we walk through this week with our spiritual lamp leading our way, knowing as we go through different kingdoms of consciousness, our lamp lights us to the highest awareness that we have. And just, this service was so blessed. And I just say thank you, everyone, for just being so present and so loving. And I just know our weeks unfold with love and joy and happiness, and we return next week healthy and excited for more. So I just release this to the law that always says, I love you. And together we say, and so it is.
All right, you guys can stand if you like, as you're able, whatever you'd like to do. Let's sing together the peace song.